So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the full impact of the Brexit red tape to hit Irish food exports next year. So we've got to remember that the UK have actually temporarily delayed checks on goods coming from Ireland because they say it's for the Northern Ireland Protocol. Yeah, cool story, bro. You ain't got the staff. You ain't got the staff to do export checks from goods going from France to GB. Forget goods going from Ireland to GB. Anyways, that's a different kind of thing. So the Department of Agriculture is preparing for export health certificates to more than quadruple to 310,000 next year when Britain's post-Brexit checks on Irish agri-foods exports start. So I think a few of the reasons for not doing these checks. One is we ain't got the staff. Two is at the moment there are many people within the meat industry who are reliant on Ireland, not just for importing meat from Ireland, but also to process meat in Ireland. So that's a huge problem in itself. So that's one of the reasons why I think they're not doing this. So the vast volume of red tape is being introduced on border controls, covering about €5 billion worth of Irish meat, dairy and agricultural produce exports, agri-foods. We'll call them agri-foods, for the first time as Irish exporters feel the bureaucratic impact of the UK's departure from the EU for the first time since Brexit, because these checks should have been happening really at the start of 2021, but they didn't because the UK delayed them and have further delayed them. So EU checks on imports from Britain began on Irish imports, are meant to begin on Irish imports January 2021 when Brexit came into effect, but the UK will only start checks on imports of products from the EU on January 1st, 2022. British, or tomorrow of day of recording, really. That's scary, isn't it? British checks on goods from the island of Ireland, have been delayed temporarily until further notice, pending the outcome of the EU-UK talks over Northern Ireland Protocol. I mean, it doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't make sense to delay these checks. How are you going to say, oh yeah, because we're discussing the Northern Ireland Protocol, we're not going to do checks on Irish goods? Like, what? No. Let's come on, man. So, the most complicated checks involve export health certificates that require Irish veterinary inspectors to sign off on agri-foods before they can be sent to Britain, starting in July, and that comes at a huge cost. Having vets on demand like that comes at a huge cost, and that's going to push the price of meat up. Irish exports of meat by probably quite a bit, to be honest. And that's going to cause a problem for the British consumer, who's already facing dramatic rises in inflation. Like, please stop it. So, Damien Flint, head of the Brexit and International Trade Division at the Department of Agriculture, said it would normally issue 60 to 70,000 export health certificates every year for exports to third countries. But Britain's departure from the EU, making us a third country, will add an additional 240,000 certificates. Like, that's crazy. That shows you how interlocked, sort of Ireland's economy is to GB. In terms of goods, because trade geography makes sense. The two countries are right next to each other. They're going to do a lot of trade. Ireland's a massive agricultural. Would you say Ireland's an agricultural superpower? Maybe. Ireland is a massive agricultural power, and the UK likes certain cuts of meat, and the Irish produce said cuts of meat. So the Irish market is very important the British market is very important for the Irish, and they're going to have to do these checks because the GB chose to be a third country. There's no two ways about it. They may be able to push the meat through Northern Ireland to go to GB. That's possible. I think we'll see a lot of that because goods from NI to GB, I don't think will ever be checked. Honestly, I don't. I think that'd be politically absolutely toxic. But this does open up, Ireland to be a land bridge again, because goods going from France to GB will be checked, but goods going from Ireland to GB won't be checked. So this again further creates a two-way land bridge now for Ireland. Goods going from Ireland. If you're sending meat products via to GB, why would you? Sorry about crying kid. Can't do anything about that. Why would you send goods going straight to GB from, say, France when you can send it via Ireland and they won't face any export checks? Maybe it's to do with the freshness of the meat. I don't know. That gives you an idea of the scale of the challenge. True, it's going to quadruple. He said there have been a huge amount of work done on this over the last 2 years. So what you're telling me, right, is this geezer here, Damien Flynn, has been preparing. What kind of loser does preparation work? Are you Batman? Are you fighting Bane? Are you fighting the Joker? Are you fighting, well, maybe you are fighting the Joker. Are you fighting Superman? Like, why do you need to prepare? Britain didn't prepare, and look at us now. Yeah, look at us now. Anyways, but it really intensified over the last year as we came up to the deadlines. We are putting in additional resources to support business. What? You're doing preparation? You're supporting businesses? What is this madness? You live in some sort of utopia. What is this? Honestly. Maybe the British government should hire this guy, Damien Flynn. Seems to know what he's doing. He described meeting the new post-Brexit bureaucratic burden as a huge challenge. And let's not forget, I thought Brexit was meant to get rid of bureaucracy and paperwork and pen pushes. It's just increased them. Now there's more in Europe, because there has to be. And that includes Britain as well. Britain is still part of Europe, geographically speaking at least. Trial runs. The department has urged companies to have data ready to ensure health certificates match different products in order to be signed off by local veterinary teams for export to Britain. So they are doing dry runs to test this. I mean, God, what kind of, they must be fighting Superman out here. What is the amount of preparation work Ireland actually doing is normal. This is the amount of preparation work that should be happening. I'm sure other EU member states will be doing, but compared to the Westminster government, man, Jesus. So be carrying out a number of runs in the run-up to controls coming into force. The UK checks on Irish goods were originally due on March 1st, 2021, but was delayed until October and then delayed again because the government couldn't get their act together, with a requirement for pre-notification of exports for January. So that means before the goods are sent over to the ports, they have to be told a day in advance that there are meat products going to the port. So it takes an extra day minimum. Before being postponed again, with this health certificates requirement set for July 1st, which I would not be surprised if it gets delayed again. The deadline for health certificates has been split so that meat and food products will require a cert from July 1st, while dairy products will require them from September, which is an interesting way. I thought they would flip it around, but okay. Composite products such as pizzas and ready meals and fish products will not require certs until November 1st. Surely you would deal with the composite products first, no? Like the frozen stuff first, because that would keep a bit longer in transit? I don't know. Mr. Flynn said there'd been a number of false dawns for the industry and for Britain. He didn't say that, I did. But the department have been heavily engaged with businesses to make sure they would be ready. I mean, this is crazy, man. Why don't you just stick a load of adverts on and just say, get ready for Brexit? That's what the UK did. Oh wait, look at us now. The key message from us is that businesses engage particularly locally with their local veterinary team so they can come up with a plan. What? That's crazy. Talk to the local vets to come up with a plan. Wow, man, this man's going to take on Superman next, I'm telling you. This man's going to fight Superman next. Like, the amount of preparation work this guy's putting in, like, man, Britain, the British government's trying to hire this gentleman. Then again, he might actually employ trying to plan for things, and I'm sure the British government will be like, nah, bro, we don't plan. We don't do that around here. We have wine and cheese at business meetings with no notepads. He said the department will be watching how the UK import checks worked for other products being imported into Britain from the rest of the EU, so it gives Ireland the chance to kind of spectate and see what kind of problems we face so they can avoid them. We can learn from any challenges that arise, obviously. He said, a wise man learns from other people's mistakes. Or should I say, a wise person in this PC world we live in. Exporters prepare. Major meat and food exporters have been preparing for the checks for some time, probably about a year, over a year. John McGrath, head of business development at Dawn Farms, which exports 30% of its meat products to Britain, talking almost a third of the meat products going directly to GB, which is crazy. I'm assuming he means GB anyways. Said the company had veterinary inspectors on site helping behind the scenes so that a company would be ready for challenges in the food industry. Supply chain is what it's all about, and there are enough other challenges emerging that there is no excuse not to be prepared for additional checks because of Brexit. Like, that's crazy. Like, this man is so ready. Essentially he's waiting to press fast forward so they can get all this stuff out of the way. It's about being prepared and being prepared in advance. If only that was the motto of the British government. Being prepared and being prepared in advance. Our motto is bungle around and then bungle around past the deadline and then try and extend the deadline and then pretend it's for other reasons you've extended the deadline, not because you've messed around for the last year and you have no idea what you're doing. The company added exports almost to 50 countries, so has experience of dealing with increased paperwork required for exporting meat and food to third countries. And this is where big business, well, is it big business? I don't know if this specific one's a big business, Dawn Farms. But bigger businesses have that advantage because they've dealt with third countries before. The only difference now is the volume is far higher. that's it. The volume on these products is far higher, because they're now exporting to GB, which is far closer and imports more of the products. You're talking almost a third just going to GB alone from Dawn Farms, and they've dealt. Even if we look at the actual numbers above somewhere, let's try and find those numbers. The amount of checks, quadrupling, 60 to 70,000 health export certificates. So they're exporting enough goods to require 60 to 70,000 health export certificates. Now it's going to be an additional 240,000, which shows you the volume difference of goods being exported to third countries compared to Great Britain, which makes sense. We're geographically closer, and there was unfettered access from Ireland to Great Britain, and now there isn't that. But Ireland being prepared for this, even though they've still got time. Chances are the UK might further delay these checks for Irish goods, but at least they're prepared for when that day happens and the rubber hits the road. The British government was never prepared. Imagine if we were prepared like this man Damien Flynn was. He actually prepared for the Brexit reality. Imagine, but we didn't. Imagine the UK government said, "Look, what you guys need to do is team up with local vets, and we're gonna maybe subsidise the vets and look at training more, in order to deal with the problems that we have." But it takes 5 years to be a vet, so maybe that wouldn't have worked. But at least working with local veterinarians to get the meats processed and things like that, so they can be exported. But we didn't do that. We decided to mess around and find out, and boy, did we find out. But let's hope that reality doesn't happen for the Irish, who seem to be very prepared for this situation. So all credit to them. All credit to Mr. Flynn. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.